The roar of the crowd in Estadio Azteca was deafening, a living wall of sound that vibrated through Mark Consuelos' chest like a second heartbeat. Mexico City, 2026 World Cup Quarterfinals. Argentina versus Brazil. The rivalry that turned friends into enemies and strangers into brothers for 90-plus minutes. Mark sat in the VIP section, sunglasses on, cap pulled low, trying to disappear into the sea of green, white, and red. He wasn't here as an actor. Not as Kelly's husband. Not even as a celebrity guest. He was here as a son who had never quite let go. It had been 8 years since his father, Saul Consuelos, passed away. Pancreatic cancer. Fast and merciless. Saul had been a quiet man from Spain who immigrated to the States, worked construction, coached youth soccer on weekends, and taught his son that the beautiful game was more religion than sport. Every memory Mark had of his father involved a ball at their feet, backyard kicks in Union City, late-night talks about Maradona, Saul's proud tears when Mark got his first big acting break and immediately bought season tickets for the family. Mark hadn't missed a World Cup since his father died. This one felt different. Argentina was favored, but Brazil had that fire. Mark's heart was split down the middle, just like his old man's had been. The match was tied 1-1 at halftime. Mark excused himself from the hospitality suite, needing air. He walked the concrete corridors, past vendors selling elotes and overpriced jerseys, until he found a quieter tunnel near the locker rooms. Security nodded at him. His face was recognizable enough. He leaned against a wall, closed his eyes, and whispered the same prayer he'd said at every game since 2018. "Dad, if you're watching, give us a sign." A soft chuckle echoed behind him. Mark's eyes snapped open. He turned. There, leaning against the opposite wall under the flickering fluorescent lights, was Saul Consuelos. Same salt and pepper hair. Same worn Argentina national team jacket from 1994. Same gentle smile that could calm a storm. "Mi hijo," Saul said, voice warm and impossibly real. "You still pray like I taught you." "Good." Mark's knees buckled. He grabbed the wall for support. This wasn't possible. He had been at the funeral. He had scattered ashes in the Hudson. He had felt the emptiness every single day. "Dad." His voice cracked. Am I dead?" Saul laughed. That deep belly laugh Mark hadn't heard in 8 years. No. You're very much alive. Heart still beating like a drum, just like when you were 5 and I took you to your first professional match." He pushed off the wall and stepped closer. He looked solid. Real. The faint smell of his father's Old Spice and the faint tang of motor oil from the garage still clung to him. Mark reached out. His hand passed through Saul's shoulder. "Ah," Saul said, looking down. "There are rules even up there. I can't stay long, but they gave me this moment. For you." Tears burned Mark's eyes. The noise of the stadium faded to a distant hum. "Why now? Why here?" Saul's expression softened. "Because you needed me. And because this game is special. Come, walk with me." They moved together down the tunnel, father and son. One visible, one half there. Saul talked like no time had passed. "You know, when I was a boy in Madrid, we didn't have much. But we had football. Your grandfather would say the pitch was the only place where poor boys could be kings for 90 minutes. I brought that with me to America. I wanted you to understand that no matter how famous you get, how much money, how many cameras, never forget where you came from. Never forget the game." Mark wiped his face. "I tried, Dad. I really did. But after you left, it's been hard. Kelly's been amazing. The kids too. But there's this hole. Every goal I see, I look over to tell you. Every time Argentina plays, I feel you missing." Saul stopped walking. The tunnel opened up to a view of the pitch. The second half was about to start. players were emerging, the crowd exploding again. "Look at them," Saul said. "Brothers on the field, enemies by nationality. But they all play for something bigger than themselves. That's what I tried to teach you. Life isn't about the wins. It's about how you play when it matters." A whistle blew. The match resumed. They stood side by side as Argentina pushed forward. Lionel Messi, older now but still magical, danced through the midfield. Mark felt his father's presence like a warm hand on his shoulder, even if he couldn't touch it. "Remember when you were 10? Saul asked. "You missed the penalty in the championship game. You cried for days. I told you then, the great ones miss more than they make. It's the trying that counts." Mark nodded, throat tight. "I remember." Time seemed to stretch. They talked about everything. About Kelly's strength, about the grandchildren Saul had never met in person but watched from wherever he was. About Mark's fears of not being enough as a father himself. "You are more than enough," Saul said fiercely. "I'm so proud of you, Marcos. Every day. You think I left? I never left. I'm in every goal you cheer. Every time you hold your wife's hand. Every time you kick the ball with your boys in the backyard. I'm there." On the field, tension mounted. Brazil countered. A dangerous cross. The goalkeeper punched it away. The crowd groaned, then cheered. Mark's heart raced. "Dad, I don't want you to go." "I know, but I have to. They only gave me one half." Saul smiled sadly. "But before I do, watch this. Pay attention." In the 78th minute, Messi received the ball near the box. He looked up, eyes scanning. Then, impossibly, he glanced toward the tunnel where Mark stood. Their eyes seemed to meet across the distance. Messi smiled, just a small, knowing smile, and then delivered a perfect through ball. The striker finished it. 2-1 Argentina. The stadium erupted. Mark turned to his father, but Saul was already fading, becoming translucent under the stadium lights. "Dad, wait." Saul reached out one last time. For a single second, Mark felt solid pressure on his shoulder.
Real. Warm.
"Win the game, Mijo. Not just this one. All of them. And tell Kelly and the kids I love them. I'll be watching." Then he was gone. Mark stood alone in the tunnel, tears streaming freely now. The final whistle blew minutes later. Argentina won 2-1. Security found him there, leaning against the wall, smiling through the tears. "You okay, Mr. Consuelos?" one asked. "Better than okay," he whispered. "I just saw my dad." The flight back to New York was quiet. Mark sat in first class, staring out the window at the clouds. He replayed every word, every second. Part of him wondered if it had been real, if grief and the altitude and the emotion of the World Cup had conjured a hallucination. But deep down, he knew the truth. The warmth on his shoulder lingered. The peace in his chest felt permanent. When he landed, Kelly was waiting at the private terminal with the kids. She took one look at his face and knew something had happened.